So here's a bit of a sad sight. When the Summit's asleep for the summer, it becomes a storage rack for various summer activities like horse riding boots and horse blankets and all kinds of stuff. It is covered. I just uncovered it for the video. I usually polish it and cover it up with the sheet. This video is just talking about buying a Summit or a used Summit and using it in a flatland setting. And on Do Talk, somebody asked the question of, is a Summit a good idea for a flatland sled, and what modifications do you want to, should you make to it? And so we'll address that here, because that's exactly 100% what I did. And I've used a lot of stuff and tried a lot of things, and I think I have a fairly good grasp on the basic mods that you want to do, and then other stuff based on your preference and kind of how you ride and maybe things you want to think about. So the big question is, like, would I do this again? Would I buy a Summit and flatland or trail convert it? And the answer is, yeah, I definitely would. This has been probably the most fun, most capable and versatile sled that I've ever had. I like long tracks. I'm very used to long track sleds. My Formula 3 was the first non-long track sled that I've owned, other than an old Safari when I was a teenager. Everything else has been, quote unquote, a long track sled. So I'm very used to them. I really like the versatility, and I will gladly trade the trail and cornering prowess of a short track sled for the versatility and extended season use you get out of a long track sled. So, yeah, definitely would do it again. I will say that if you bought a Summit from out west or somewhere where it is set up for high elevation, you will have to do some clutching and gearing, and possibly some work with the track. But let's get into that. So which mods are essential? I would say clutching and gearing are essential, and ice scratchers are essential. And that would be the absolute bare minimum that I would do to the sled if you wanted to spend hardly any money. Clutch kit can be upwards of $500 Canadian. And the clutch kit I would recommend going with would be the iBackshift dual elevation clutch kit for either the 600 or the 800, depending on what engine you have. If you're buying used, or whatever they have for the 850. Joey's kits are extremely adjustable and very, very, what I've noticed is it completely changed the character of the sled. I had this one stock with the high elevation kit in it. It had 19 top gear, 49 bottom gear. It was an absolute handful, even to drive slow. It was very catchy and prone to just wanting to spin all the time. Very abrupt engagement. Just not set up for essentially slightly above sea level, which is where I am. So right away, I ordered on Joey's website, the iBackshift website, the dual elevation clutch kit. I'm very familiar with, Dynamo Joe or Joey, iBackshift, whatever you want to call the company. I'm very familiar with their products. In fact, he is a local in the Thunder Bay area. So, yeah, very, very, very knowledgeable, and I'm familiar with his stuff right from the original Rev days. So I trust his equipment, but there are other people that have very, very good clutch kits, and like Big John at Sledhead Racing, Bill Cudney. You can talk to a whole bunch of people, and there's a whole bunch of good companies that have pretty decent clutch kits. But I do like Joey's because it is insanely adjustable and it works in a wide range of conditions. The engagement is really low. So not really low, but it's 3,400 RPM versus 3,800. And his engagement is really smooth. The clutch grabs the belt just right, and you can crawl out of things without just spinning the track like crazy, which is what I like. But the back shift is there when you need it. And when you're cruising, this is what I really love, when you're on the trail or on the lake or hard pack and you're at steady state throttle settings, you can back right off the throttle, and the cruising RPMs are nice and low, so it does save you gas. This is an 800 E-Tech with a long track, 154 inches, and I've done 250 kilometers on a tank of fuel, which is absolutely nuts in my mind. But we measured it all, 250 clicks on one tank of gas, and I still had about little over half a gallon left in there. So yeah, definitely clutch kit. And these are stock geared as a 19 top. A low elevation gearing from Skidoo is 21. You're probably fine with the 21 top gear. I've run a 23 top gear last winter, and it was great. I might do a 22 or 21 this year because I don't need the top speed, and you can't really go super fast with these tracks anyway. The next mod I would definitely suggest is get some ice scratchers, because with a deep lug track, like over 2 inches on hard pack or 2.5 inches, you just run into some problems. And I know everybody's like, oh, just use scratchers, is totally fine. Like, I've run them, whatever. But like, what you need to understand is this is a flex edge track. It had stock, we'll get into my track in a minute, but it's 2.5 inch lugs. And the problem is running scratchers is fine for cooling your engine and possibly even keeping your sliders from, like melting off. But the track itself heats up as well. And when the main belt of the track is off the ground, especially in hard pack, that sucker heats up, and that's what causes delamination and lugs flying off. And, so these tracks are not made for hard pack. So it doesn't make sense to run them on hard pack. And I'm going to catch a lot of crap for this next thing, but this is a flex edge track right here. It's not 2.5 inches anymore. This is a 1.75. So I cut down this track to 1.75. And a whole bunch of people were telling me that it's stupid. Don't do that. Why are you doing that? You're an idiot. Well, I'm glad I didn't listen, because I'm glad I didn't listen because it worked out flawlessly last year. And for those of you interested, the way I did it is I just measured the distance between the bottom of this lug and the bottom of this lug, and the top of this lug and the top of this lug. And then I cut a piece of wood to match those angles, put a piece of flat bar on there, and then you just sit that in between each lug. And then you get a Sawzall blade. You sharpen the back end of it, not the toothed part, but sharpen the back end of it. Really, really sharp. And spray WD-40 all over it, and it cuts these things off like butter. So, and it's easy to do this with the track on the sled and tensioned. And then you just basically like feed it in and then turn your secondary clutch to advance the track. Takes a little while, a little hard in the back if you're having to bend over and do it, but I would do this over any day. Yeah, worked out great. No problems with the traction. Having a crazy deep lug track around here doesn't make any sense anyway. And this was way better for me. I could go a lot quicker with this track without having to worry about lugs flying off and whatnot. So I understand the point of the naysayers, but honestly, I'm glad I just didn't listen and I did what I figured was correct. I'm going to do some reprofiling of these lugs a little bit. I might cut some notches in them. But ultimately, if I just left it the way it was, this track would be amazing. So I used it in powder. I used it doing some backcountry riding. I used it on some like hard packed, just freshly groomed trail. It was amazing. I don't regret this one bit. So, yeah, but I also run scratchers as well. So this is something you might want to consider. The other thing is, there are people that will swap you. If your track is in really good condition, somebody may have a 1.75 inch or a 2 inch or whatever, that you can just do a track swap with somebody. And you should probably have no trouble finding someone to do that with. That's about the essential mods. After that, it's just all in your preferences. So one thing that I thought I would have to do is get a lower bar riser. This is the stock bar riser on the Summit. I thought I would have to get a lower one, but I've come to like the slightly higher bars. I find when my hands are low on a sled, I do get a bit of shoulder pain after a few hours, especially just sitting there. But these ones are nice. It's up higher. It's like straight, just like you're bench pressing. So I really like that feeling, that movement. I'm used to it. So yeah, it was really good. Provided good leverage, perfect for when I'm standing up, which I do stand up quite a bit. And when I'm picking through the bush, this is like perfect. So I'm not going to change it whatsoever. The only thing I did is I find every summit I see, the flipping risers like over here. So I always adjust it to be in line with the post. And that makes the steering, like just the geometry, a lot more proper in my mind. The other thing that people kind of suggest is to get the backcountry front end or put the trail front end on. That's a complete matter of preference. If you're doing nothing but groomed trails and you want the cornering ability, then yeah, go for it. Put the wider front end on. However, I've come to really like the S36 front end, and what it gives up on the trail, it definitely makes up for in the bush and in the powder. And I just like being able to go places effortlessly that a trail sled can't ever go, and wouldn't dare go, because yeah, I mean, I'll give up the trail prowess for the bush manners that this thing has. And honestly, it's really not that bad. Like you can corner this thing no problem. It takes a little bit more body English. It actually makes trail riding a bit more engaging, I find, with the thinner front end, because the machine is more dirt bike-ish than it is like a slot car. So that just adds to the fun in my mind. And the other thing you may want to do if you're trail riding, I mentioned this in the last video when we went through my suspension, is to lock out T-motion. T-motion sucks on the trail. It's horrible. Yeah, won't say any more than that, but if you find that your sled's tipping side to side when you're in the corner and it's lifting up that inside ski like crazy, if you lock out T-motion, that won't eliminate that, but it'll certainly help that condition. There's a whole bunch of different kits out there. Z-Bros or Z-Bros has a really nice kit. It's very expensive, but it essentially converts this into just a normal rear arm, kind of like the C-Motion. You can also swap somebody the C-Motion parts, and those should fit if I'm not mistaken. And the old Summit parts from, I think it was 2008 to 2010 or 11, I'm pretty sure the rear arm and that all fits and jives with the geometry here. But just double check that, because I haven't done that. I've looked into it very briefly. But if you're going to go with lockout kits, something that preserves the stock look and the stock parts, and is probably the strongest lockout kit utilizing the stock parts, is the Mainway Solutions, the lockout kit, and the T-Motion Delete Brace kit. Get those together. It really beefs this up, and I'm not going to have any trouble with that this year. It's going to be great. There was one more thing I was going to talk about with this, and that is the seat. I thought I would absolutely hate the mountain seat, but do not get rid of your mountain seat until you've actually had a couple of rides on it, because I love the seat. It's firm, it's wide at the back, but narrow at the front. So when you do any stand-up riding, it gives you a lot of room to move around. It's short, but you can still kick back if you're an ex sit-down rider like I am. You can still like move back and stretch out on it without falling off the back of the seat. But when you're when you're standing up and you need to switch from side to side, the short back on it allows you to whip your boot around without getting caught on anything. So do not get rid of this seat. Try it out. I think that you'll probably love it for trail riding or whatever, no matter what. And yeah, other than that, those are pretty much the modifications that I've made for trail riding. Again, skis, these are Pilot 7.4s. I don't really know if I'm going to keep them. I like the DS2s better. I find these 7.4s, they have such a massive keel on them. And I find that when you're in crusty snow, they want to, if they break through, they kind of want to break through and turn all the time. So they kind of snap steer on you, which sucks. So I think I'm going to go for a, probably a Sly Dog attack ski on this thing with kind of where I'm using it. That makes more sense. And if the Sly Dog attack ski sucks, then I'm just going to move back to a DS2 because I didn't really have too many issues with the DS2. I just wanted to try something different. So we'll see. I'll report back on that. But yeah, this is about it for trail converting. It's honestly, I think all you really 100% need is the clutching and the scratchers and to think about the track as your primary concerns. Everything after that, I would say do one thing at a time, ride it, really evaluate what you like, don't like, if something's not working for you. That's kind of what I did all through last winter. And yeah, I've got a bunch more mods planned for this. Yeah, we'll be getting to those in for the rest of the summer. So anyway, yes, definitely I would buy a Summit again. Definitely I would flatland it. And I love this sled. And if you're thinking about doing this, then yeah, hopefully this helps you. And I don't regret it one bit. Okay, have a great afternoon.